Welcome, 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 welcome to Biz Dev Live. I am so excited to bring you Chad Williams today, the founder, the CEO of Due Process. This is a young man that has an incredible story, could easily be looked at as like, man, this is just sad. This is crazy. This just shouldn't happen to people, as it shouldn't. But he's turned that into something that's incredible that helps other people. I think our journey as entrepreneurs is usually started with some sort of light or impulse to help other people. And so I'm really excited to get into this story today with Chad about how he turned his test into his testimony, his mess into his message. This is a great show for anybody that's looking to create a business from the challenges and struggles that they've went through. Please stay with me. We'll be talking about determination today. Be determined to stick with me. Be right back after the Biz Dev Live theme.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. This is business development, not even selling it.
Oh man, am I looking forward to this. All right, so we had Chad Williams here with me. Chad Williams is a Brooklyn native who graduated with a Bachelor's of Science from Buffalo State College in 2020. We're going to learn a little bit more about that story as we go here. He is the founder of social justice-based startup Due Process and also a project manager at Launch New York, a not-for-profit venture capital firm headquartered in Buffalo. Driven by his love for social justice, he takes pride in running and growing Due Process. As a founder, his goal is to grow Due Process while also keeping his mission-driven focus. Chad has been recognized by Forbes magazine for his extraordinary commitment to growing social justice-based brand Due Process. Please welcome to the show the very determined Mr. Chad Williams. Thanks for being on the show with me.
Thank you, Cameron, for having me. That was a beautiful intro, Cameron. I must say you're a natural. That was like read perfectly, 100%. I liked what you said in the beginning here. I wrote it down. I might put it on a T-shirt. You said his mess into his message. That was amazing. I don't know how you thought of that, but that was.
Thank you. I borrowed from lots of other fabulous people that have said it before me.
Okay.
And I think it's a that authentic thing. And we talk a lot about it on this show. People are sometimes afraid to talk about the challenges, the drama, the incredible strife that we go through. I was talking with a lady that's killing it in real estate, but early on in life, she had a child at 15. She, took to stripping to pay the bills. She's where she's at now because she went through what she went through, and she's in that much of a better position to help people because she went through those experiences. So I think, when you tell your story, when I tell my story, when people talk about the stuff that they went through, it can be comforting. It can change lives, as you know, from telling your story so often. There's people that go through this stuff and it feels like there's nobody that shares the story. So when you hear somebody that talks about it, it's like, oh man, I'm not the only one. There's people that care. There's people that understand. That's a big, big, big deal. But I know we're going to get into all of that with you. Talk to me a little bit about what Due Process does, how it helps people. I know you sell products. I know we're trying to help people on the social justice side. Talk just a little bit about that, and then we'll get into some of your backstory.
No, yeah, of course. Also, to start, Due Process is a streetwear clothing brand that advocates for social justice, not only through the designs, but by the mission as well. We help people because we have a mission of donating back 15% of every proceed of every purchase to different organizations that advocate for social justice. So to date, we've donated to organizations such as the Western New York Peace Center, and then the Last Prisoner Project, with countless other in the pipeline.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I think when you're building a business, and I think nowadays too, I mean, your generation, much more so than mine, and definitely much more so than my father's generation, people want things that are associated with doing good. So I think you're in the right place, right time, got a great message. Let's talk about your story. What did you want to be when you were, in elementary school? What was going on with mom, dad, all that situation before we got to college? Because I want you to tell the story of things that transpired in college, but I want to kind of give people some context of where your head was at as you were on your journey here.
So to bring it back to your point, people definitely do want to purchase things with intent now, especially with COVID, the beginning of COVID. People want to spend their money where it matters. That's what I like to say. People want to spend their money where it matters. And yeah, to give a little bit of background on myself, as you said in the bio, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up with both of my parents. Essentially, they were split apart, but I grew up with my mom most of the time, and then see my father at times. Have a real close-knit family. We all grew up pretty close in age with my cousins. I had some older cousins as well who showed us the ropes, and then had a bunch of other cousins who were my age. So it was a pretty close-knit family. And then, just growing up in Brooklyn, I grew up in the Flatbush area of Brooklyn. For those of you that don't know, Flatbush is a very diverse area, from a bunch of different Caribbean people to Spanish people to white people. It's just a very diverse neighborhood. And what landed me at Buffalo State College was I got injured my senior year in high school because I used to wrestle. And during my senior year in high school, I got injured. And I wanted to go to college to wrestle, but it didn't work out that way. And that's like the story with most things. So I ended up applying to one school.
Chances of getting into the sport that you want, those are rough. I know, talking to young students as they're coming up, they want to be the XYZ sports, baseball, basketball, football. The chances are 1 in a million, just for those reasons, right? Go ahead, keep going.
Exactly. It's definitely 1 in a million. And I still, currently to this day, not to get off track, but currently to this day, I got back into wrestling, MMA in specific, so a bunch of different of the mixed martial arts, and I got back into it today. That's what I do to stay in shape as of right now. But yeah,
very cool.
I got injured my senior year, and I applied to one school, and that one school wasn't Buffalo. I applied to Albany. I applied to the Educational Opportunity Program at Albany, and I actually got accepted, but they needed a bunch of documents, and by the time I got them, all of those documents, the application deadline or whatever it was over, and I ended up not being able to get it to Albany. So it was like a hot day in August, and I seen somewhere, it was like an advertisement in Buffalo State, we're doing one-day admissions. And I applied to Buffalo State, got accepted the next day, and then I landed myself at Buffalo State College, and I don't regret it at all. I don't really regret much things in life, as I feel like you got to experience things to really know what something means or how something feels. So yeah, I got accepted to Buffalo State College, and it was a great ride. I graduated in 2020 with a Bachelor's of Science, and it is a great ride. I have no complaints about it. Actually, during my junior year, there's a little bump in the road, and that's what led me to start due process. And I'll tell you guys a little bit about it. Should I start that story now, Cameron?
Jump right in, because this is something that has been in the papers. Definitely been a big deal. Obviously, incredibly difficult impact on your life, right?
No, yeah, definitely. So, let me ask you this: should I get into the full story, or should I get into
Yeah, you got time. You got time. Tell it.
All right, cool. So yeah, it was my junior year in college. I was working 2 jobs, studying. I was a 3.0 student, and decided to go out one night with a couple of friends. It was me, 2 of my guy friends, and then 2 of my girlfriends. Not my girlfriends, girls that are friends. I always have to make that distinction.
We got you.
I always have to make that distinction. So yeah, we went downtown Buffalo. We went to a club called Venue. And we were enjoying ourselves. We were enjoying the night. had a little bit to drink as any other college student would. One of the girls that we were with, she ended up throwing up in the club, and the bouncer had seen it throwing up, so the bouncer had asked her to leave. So what we were gonna do was her and the other girl, they were gonna go home, and we were gonna come back inside. So they called their Uber, and we're helping them outside to the Uber. But it's a packed packed Saturday night in Buffalo, so we couldn't find the Uber initially. So we were looking around for a little bit looking for it. We finally find the Uber. I'm carrying the girl. She's like has her arm around my shoulder. I'm helping her walk to the Uber. We finally get to the Uber, and then the Uber driver, he's on the driver's side, and I'm trying to put the girl in the car, open the back door, it's locked. And then I see him, he's like, no, 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 no. So like in my head, I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? What's going on? So I go around to his side of the car, and I see he's bleeding on the whole left side of his face. So I see he's bleeding, and in my head, I'm like, oh, shoot, what's going on? But at this time, I'm still trying to get the girl in the Uber. So I'm like, hey, man, can you open the door? He's like, no, no, no. Then two white officers, Buffalo PD, they come from behind me, and they tell me, excuse me, sir, step away from the car. So I turn around to them, and I tell them, this is my friend's Uber. I'm trying to get her in the Uber. They like step away from the car. So me, with knowing the history of colored people and the police, I just stepped away from the car because I didn't want the incident to go any further than that. So then the two police officers, they asked the Uber driver, they asked him, are you the one who called in the assault? He says, yes. They asked him, who did it? He points at me. So now at this point, I'm in a state of frenzy. So like, I'm like, no, 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 no. Action again, action again. I'm like, look at my hands. There's no blood on me. If I'd hit the guy, I'm trying to tell him if I'd hit the guy, it would have been blood on me in some way because the guy was bleeding a lot. I was wearing like a lime green hoodie, so it would have been blood on my hoodie probably. So I'm trying to explain all of this stuff to them. They disregard everything I'm telling them. They disregard my friends that are screaming, he didn't do it, he didn't do it. No, no, no. They take me, they grab my hand. I struck at first. Like I tug my arm back at first, and then they tell me, don't resist, don't resist. And then my history again with the police, it hits me in my head like a heart attack. I'm like, let me chill. Let me just chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me chill out.
That's a tough place to be in, yeah.
No, yeah, 100% tough place to be in. And I made it throughout my whole childhood without being in that place. And I get to college, I think I'm doing everything right? I'm working the job, I'm going to my classes, I got a good GPA. You think I'm doing everything right? You think this would have happened, but that just tells you that it can happen to you at any time. And I was a little bit ignorant at the time, thinking that it cannot happen to me, even though my mom tells me, what's the famous saying? Any place, anytime. What's the saying? Help me out here, Kev.
Well, I think, and to me, it recalls, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the movie, but, I think that I'm sure that your mother had the conversation with you, right? If police stop you, you say yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Don't make any sudden moves. Like this is, I know for me in my house, we didn't have that same type of conversation. I'm certainly we talked about respect, but we didn't talk about, if you're making a wrong move, there's a likelihood that something beyond just a stern talking to is going to happen in this situation.
Oh yeah, 100%, Cam. Thank you for that. And then the saying I was thinking of is wrong place, wrong time. So like my mom always told me it happen to anyone, anywhere, wrong place, wrong time. And I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So back to the story. So like they tugged me, they put me in the back of the police car. I'm still pleading my case. I'm telling them I didn't do this. Look at my hands. They're telling me you'll be able to tell it to the judge in the morning. So I'm like, oh man, mind you, I haven't gone through like this situation before. Like my whole life going throughout the streets of Brooklyn, I never went through this before. So I get to the police station, and now I'm in the bookings. So they take my mugshot, they take my fingerprints and everything, and then I'm there with like other people who got arrested that night as well. So I'm there, like I'm trying to be like tough at this point, like not really tough, but like I'm keeping my head high. I'm not really letting nobody like look at me and whatnot, like and stuff like that. Just keeping my head high, staring straight and whatnot, and I'm trying to be strong at this point. What broke me was what made me start crying was so like going into bookings, and before you go into the cell, they have to do a strip search on you. So it's this room is with like
wow.
It's with like three guys, or it was two guys, I think maybe. So it was with three guys.
And I appreciate you telling this part of the story, because I don't think people realize, especially if it hasn't happened to them, which it hasn't happened to so many.
100%. I wasn't comfortable with telling like this part of the story, but I feel like people need to know, So
yeah, it's dehumanizing, right?
100% dehumanizing.
And this is a situation which was proven later. I'm going to sort of do the cheat code to the end of the story, but
no. Let's save it a little bit,
Yeah.
No, yeah. So all right, so yeah, very dehumanizing. Like when I went into that room, is like two guys. You're looking at you. It's two big guys too. They're looking at you. Like take off your clothes and squat. So like at this point, I'm in the frenzy now. I'm like, I didn't even do this. Can I just skip this part? Can I just go to this other? Like no. So I ended up having to do that, and then I broke down. Like I started crying. Like it was a bad situation. So now I'm in the cell at this point. It's freezing cold in there. I didn't want to fall asleep. I didn't want to eat anything. But I ended up falling asleep. I didn't eat any of their food though. It was just like my way of me thinking I'm getting back at them. So fall asleep. It's time to see the judge in the morning. They line us all up, and my last name is Williams. So it was like I saw the judge last. So like I was behind like everybody else, and it took me like a little while to see the judge. Finally see the judge. I see she's a lady of color. She's a Hispanic lady, and I'm thinking maybe that she'll like offer me some type of leniency. I was wrong. She looked at me as I was guilty before innocent, and she appointed me a public defender. So she appointed me a public defender and then a court date for 3 weeks later. So at this point, I'm a little bit naive. Like I didn't have the money to afford a private lawyer, nor did I want to, because I'm thinking that it was like there's a bunch of cameras and stuff like that, and all the public defender has to do is go get the camera footage, and my name will be free. My name will be cleared. But I'm emailing the public defender within this 3 weeks. I don't hear back from him at all until the day before court.
Wow.
So the day before court, I go into his office and I tell him everything that happens. And then I tell him at the end, can you just go downtown and ask for the camera footage, and that'll clear my name. They will see that I didn't punch this guy that I was walking with my friend. And he says, yeah. We go to court the next day. Ask him if he has a camera footage. He's like, no. He doesn't give me any explanation behind it. He just says no. So like in my head, I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? Does he want to see me go to jail or something like that? So we go to court. Luckily, the defendant doesn't show up to court this day, and it gets postponed to another date. By the time he actually goes to get the footage, the people, the club, whatever, whoever had footage, they deleted it because, like, I guess they do that every month and whatnot just to clear up their memory. So at this point, I think I'm screwed. I'm thinking, and my life is over. I'm thinking I'm gonna have this on the record for the rest of my life, and I didn't even do this. So it's like a bunch of stuff going through my head, and like I didn't have anyone to talk to, nor did I even want to talk to one. I'm just that type of person. I like to keep things for myself and try to handle situations by myself.
And I imagine that because this happened, you were out. It was late night, even with friends and family, because the moment somebody's accused of something and there's not overwhelming evidence that they didn't do it readily available, everybody's like, yeah, right?
Exactly. It's supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be innocent before guilty, but it's more times than not guilty before innocent.
Well, if you're innocent, why'd they arrest you? If you're innocent, why were you there? Well, if you're innocent, right? And so I think, people don't get it, but I was trying to tell people, I put a comment in there, if you've ever had a rough night, right? Put it in there, put support in there, type support into the comment section, because I think everybody's had a rough night where some stuff went down. Maybe something, happened, like you got arrested, but chances are you probably just got through the night and it was not the best night, but you could have easily gone a different way. For you guys, you were in this situation and now you have this association with guilt. You got a public defender that's not doing their job and has let evidence slip away. So what's next? Like, how are you processing this?
So, I'm still working at, so like, thank you for all of those points. So yeah, I'm still working at this time. I'm still a student. And then I'm also going to different court appointments. And then she also mandated me to drug and alcohol classes that I had to go to. So like, I didn't have a car at this time at all either. So like, I'm in Buffalo.
You're a student.
Yeah. I'm a student. I'm a worker. and I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal all at once, and I have to travel. I'm doing all of this through buses and walking and whatnot. So like it's a bunch on my like my mind at this time. So yeah, and like the public defender, yeah, like a lot of people go through this. He was trying to force a plea deal onto me, and just me being the person I am, I wouldn't take a plea deal, especially for something that I didn't commit. But a lot of people that are in similar situations, they would take that plea deal because they're afraid of the public defender not being able to handle their case at trial, and therefore they'll be getting more time. So there are a bunch of wrongfully arrested people still in jail to this day.
He's trying to get through his caseload. He's trying
Yeah,
to
exactly.
pursue the easy path. If he
Exactly.
settles it, he doesn't have to go to court. He doesn't
Yep.
have to have to do his due diligence and research and put up a case, right? Just gets him clear and move on to the next.
Exactly. It's just like I was another case on his docket.
Yeah.
So yeah, this situation goes on for almost a year, and after that time, by the grace of God, my name was cleared. The defendant said he was not sure of my identity, and that was enough grounds to get the case dismissed.
Wow.
Yeah, so huge waste of time, right? Like just all of that stuff on me for no reason. But a month after getting my name cleared, I was like, I want to do something. I want to do something that could help people in similar situations like myself. And I always wanted to start a fashion brand. So I thought, why not mix it too? So then I thought of the name Due Process. And Due Process is traditionally spelled DUE process, but I changed it to DOO process just because Due Process is a streetwear clothing brand, and like with streetwear, you got to be different. So I thought that was my way of being different. So I started
the brand on your sweatshirt right now, so everybody can see that.
Yeah, no. So this is actually my first hoodie.
Oh, okay.
This is actually like the first hoodie ever. So hopefully it's be like a collector's item one day. So like basically the meaning behind this hoodie was it says dopey,
yeah,
and then like due process. So basically the meaning behind this hoodie was don't judge a book behind by its cover. So the shirt says dopey, don't assume that I smoke or anything like that. So that was like my first design. So yeah, where was I?
And I'm going to just throw onto the screen because I put the actual the logo onto the promotional image for today. So I'll just pop that up there so you can see that down at the bottom of the screen. And on my sweater there, I did some nice Photoshop in there.
Nice.
Due process, right? I love what you got going on there, because I think, in the time of Trayvon and everybody else that's dealt with just really crazy kind of treatment by the law, and even people that weren't lawyers. We've had people that were just like stalked and killed, and then the onus somehow was put on the folks that were the victims. Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy. So I think that the brand has just it's an amazing thing, and I think your story, the way that you were able to come out of that, because I could see a lot of people sort of dropping out of college, maybe people taking that plea deal. You were determined. You stuck it out. You said, I didn't do this thing. And finally, justice to some sort of extent was worked out, but that's not the way that justice is supposed to be. When we think of justice, it's like somebody does a crime, they get punished. Somebody does a crime, they pay the price. You had to pay a price for a crime that you didn't do.
Exactly. I had to go through all of that.
And nobody's recompensating you for the time lost, the mental anguish of having to go through all this stuff, the train rides and Uber car and stuff to get to these court dates, which if you would have missed, then it would have been, he's ducking the law. He's not showing up. He's guilty. Throw him in jail.
Got it. And yeah, thank you for bringing up that point too. So like, it's events that I couldn't go to. It's things that I missed, like friends, like birthdays I couldn't go to and whatnot. Like my friend, he had one trip in Canada for his birthday. I couldn't go to that because I couldn't leave the state. It was actually a crazy time too, because my close uncle of mine, passed away at the time, and I had to attend his wedding one day, and then I had to leave that same day to go up to take the bus from Brooklyn, the Greyhound from Brooklyn, all the way up to Buffalo that same day to make a court date the next week. They don't, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, and nobody's coming back to you and saying, we were wrong. here's just recompense for for any of this stuff. It's just what it is. And so a lot of people are going through this. So talk to me about, what kind of kept you determined to kind of stick the course. Obviously, first of all, congratulations on graduating while going through all this stuff. I was sort of saying the point, I don't think everybody would have done that. I think people go through stuff and they I don't want to say they easily use that excuse, but it's an excuse. It's a real excuse, right? They say, this is just too much. You have people that just go to school and school is too tough, the books and all that, and they drop out because of that. You were dealing with some major traumatic garbage while you're trying to accomplish a degree, and you accomplished a degree. What kept you determined to do that? And then what determined you to sort of turn this around and make this positive?
Got it. I'd say what kept me determined to do is just like I'm a strong-willed individual, and I couldn't let the system beat me in a sense. I couldn't let the system beat me. I wanted to get one up on them instead of them getting one up on me. So like I wouldn't let them get the gratification of having them beat another black man. So that's what kept me going throughout the whole thing. And like I said, I keep things to myself. I don't really talk to people about my problems, and I just like kept going because, and
I was going to say, I know you say yourself, but
God.
Was your mom or dad, was somebody?
No, I didn't tell them. Didn't tell them. They didn't know throughout this whole thing.
They didn't know?
No, they didn't know. They didn't know throughout.
You didn't want to tell them because you were just not happy with how it all looked, or?
I don't even know. I still don't know to this day why I didn't tell them, or maybe because I didn't want them worrying and whatnot.
Did you tell them after the fact?
Nah, the reason they found out was because of due process. So like news interviews and stuff like that.
All right. So what did that conversation look like? Because if you were my son, I would have been crazy. I would have been like, "What? Why wouldn't you tell us?"
Yeah, my conversation didn't even happen yet. So maybe on the next show,
oh my goodness,
Cameron, Toth, Todd Williams due process next show.
Oh man, if I was your parents, man, we would have some words over that. I'd be crazed. I'd just be like out of my mind. Why wouldn't you share that? And I mean, it speaks to your determination and your inner strength to be able to get to that. So, props to the people in your life that helped build that up, because my goodness, to be able to go through all that and not say anything, I mean, that's got to take a toll. It's got to feel like a big weight on you.
No, yeah, thank you. Yes, I was saying and the biggest factor of all that got me through this situation was God. God got me through this, like my faith in God, and like He carried me through this situation for sure.
That's amazing. And so, we talk about it in the entrepreneurial journey. Faith, and you can, faith in people, faith in yourself, faith in a higher power. My goodness, you gotta appreciate that and be thankful for that, because I would just be as a parent. I'm just thinking, I have a 24-year-old son out there in the world, and if he went through something like that and he didn't share it with me, and he probably doesn't share a lot with me because we don't have that close relationship. I had him when I was 19. And I'm really driven because that was one of the things that shaped me coming up, making good choices and positive choices. And then I hear a story like yours where you made so many positive choices and this thing happens to you. I mean, it would just, I don't know if you were trying to spare them or whatever, but I would be terribly upset, first of all, that it was happening. And then I'd be moving the earth and moon to make sure that you were taken care of. Kudos to you for getting through this all. So talk to me about due process. So you graduated college, again, congratulations on that. So what's been the process as you've been building these relationships, building the business, right? There's a lot that goes into building a brand. Talk to us a little bit about the process and what you've had to do to sort of get it to where it is right now.
Got it. No, definitely. If you don't mind, I wanted to bring it back a little bit to like the
Sure.
origin stories. So yeah, and then we could, like I'll step into that as well. So like yeah, beat the case, fresh over beating the case. I want to start the brand between two things that I love: fashion and then social justice. So I named the due process because I felt I wasn't awarded my due process, and then many other people in this world were awarded their due process, which is a amendment right, which means fair treatment through the judicial system. So start that brand. It's my senior year in college, and I have a little bit of credits that I need left to graduate. So I asked my professor, one of my favorite professors, Eugene Chaz, to do an independent study with me for my business. He was an economics professor, so I thought it'd be a great thing to do. So we do the independent study, and then excuse me. We do the independent study, and he slaps this orange paper, like this paper. He slaps it in front of me on the table. It's like a orange paper, and it has like $10,000 in bold letters, and then it says on the top of that, New York Business Plan Competition. Join now. He's like, this is what we're gonna do for the independent study. I'm like, yeah, definitely. Like $10,000 bold letters, like that's great marketing right there. I was like, for sure. Like, I'm not against it. So we do the business plan competition, and this is probably like January of 2020, like right before COVID hit. So we do the business plan competition. I wasn't sure how to do a business plan competition because I never did one before. So they had resources on campus. The main resource was called the Small Business Development Center. And I'll go there every day after classes. And a lady there named Karina Laura, she would be the one to help me with my business plan competition and all of the other students from the school with their business plan competitions. And I'm coming from a school, Buffalo State. It's a great school in my opinion, but it doesn't have the resources like I would say like University at Buffalo or like a Cornell has. Like they have incubators at their schools, and these are the schools that we are going up against in this businessman competition. Like it's the whole state of New York and different schools in New York. So we're the underdogs in this situation, and Buffalo, they never had a winner before. So but me, I'm very confident. Me having this background of sports, I played football my whole life. I started wrestling in high school. I'm just very confident. And I felt like I had a great business to go into the businessman competition with. So the competition has two parts to it. There's a regional part of the competition, and then there's a state part of the competition. So I want to bring this back to high school too. Like I said, I wrestled. So like my senior year in high school, I was the number one seed in the 170 weight class in New York City. And there's a state tournament also for wrestling. So like in order to qualify for the states, you have to win the city championships, which is also known as the regionals, to qualify for the states. So this is like my get back moment. So like I was injured my senior year, so I wasn't able to wrestle in the state tournament or the city tournament my senior year. So this was the way out. This is the way I looked at it. I looked at it as being, this is another opportunity for me to be a New York State champion. So I'm giving it my all.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. So so being in the businessman competition, I'm going to the Small Business Development Center every day after school. I'm spending hours in there. I'm doing work. I'm working on the business plan. And the regional part of the competition comes up, and it's like COVID during this time too, so everything transfers to virtual. So like we don't have to pitch live now. We have to do a pre-recorded pitch deck now, which is better for me because like I don't get nervous, but like I'm not the best speaker. So it's better for me because I get to plan out everything with the pre-recorded pitch deck. So I work on it. I didn't give it my all. I maybe thought I gave it my all at the time, but I didn't give it my all. So I worked on that pitch, that pre-recorded pitch deck, and I submitted it for the regional competition. I ended up taking second. So that's enough to move on because they take the top two from the regionals to go to the state tournament, which has all other schools. So the regionals was just like schools in my area, and then the state tournament is all of the schools in New York. So I make it to the state competition. I take second. So it was actually good that I took second because this fueled me to make my business plan that much better for the state part of the competition. I was just like, it didn't sit well with me. Like the second place didn't sit well with me because I knew my business had so much potential, and like I don't know, I just thought the other business didn't have. It was nowhere near the process. That's what I was just thinking at least.
Well, I'm just going to bring determination into this again because again, a lot of people, they enter the competition, they got a certain goal, they don't hit their goal, and so there's an excuse to like, well, I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I can't do it. And yours was, I got this far. I can do better. Let me go back to it, hit it again, which is the right attitude. Especially for entrepreneurship, there's a lot of failure involved in entrepreneurship. If you're not comfortable with failure, don't get into entrepreneurship because inevitably there's going to be a challenge. You're going to fall down. You got to get it back up and get back to it. I love it.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and like determination, that's just in my blood. I feel like we was born with it. Like our back against the walls, our counterpart. We have it 1,000 times harder than our counterpart to succeed in this world. And I just was born with the good determination, good head on my shoulders. So yeah, we're going into the state competition, and I was like, what can I do to make this presentation better? So like everything is virtual at this time, so we have to submit a pre-recorded project to the competition for the judges to review. So I taught myself how to use this animation tool on YouTube. It was an animation tool called Sparkle. And I taught myself how to use it, and I created like an animated pitch deck. So it was like, not only like when I'm speaking over it, there's like things jumping out at you and whatnot. So it looked cool, and I like bettered my chances that way. And I also did more research and made my business plan better overall. So going into the state competition, I actually ended up taking first place in the consumer products field. And it was the best feeling ever, because I actually thought,
Congratulations.
Thank you. So like it was like a live streamed event, and like it was like real laggy. And I actually thought I ended up taking like third place at first. I'm like, damn. All right, this sucks. I was like, oh man. But then I ended up realizing I took it first place, because like I got a bunch of congratulations in the chat and whatnot. I was like, oh.
Suddenly the computer speeds back up, and you're seeing the comments say you.
Yeah, I was ecstatic. It was a great time. Let's just say that it was a great time, and like it was. Oh man, I was still in Buffalo at this time too, and I was living in the off-campus housing, and it was a great time. Me and my roommates were ecstatic. It was good times. It was definitely good times. I was like, all my hard work paid off, and like, not to brag or anything like that, but like the team that beat me in regionals, they ended up taking like 5th place or something like that too. So it's just like a great feeling. Like this is overall like
you got a feeling like they might have had, it's one of those things too with with success and failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got second place. Your push was like, okay, I got to do better. I wonder if they were like, oh, we got first place, we can just kind of resubmit this, right?
And that's why I say like God works in mysterious ways, because like if I would have got first place, I might have not worked on my business plan. I would have probably submitted the same project, and I would have ended up doing good. But since I got that second place, I was humbled, and I was able to better my business plan for the state part of the competition.
Don't rest on your laurels, right? Don't
Exactly.
if you succeed, you got to keep getting better. I love that. All right. So you win this competition, and imagine this is around the Due Process brand, right?
Yeah, around the Due Process brand. So now I'm awarded money, where I'm able, not even money, I was awarded money and connection. That's how I got the job at where I currently work right now, Launch New York. So it's like a networking part of the competition. Networking is huge for all entrepreneurs and all the people.
And for people that aren't familiar with Launch New York, what does Launch New York do?
Launch New York is a nonprofit venture capital firm. They award money to, not award, but they give money to startup companies and also offer mentorship. So it's like perfect. It's like I'm an entrepreneur myself, and now I'm working for a venture capital firm. So I'm learning the ins and outs. I'm learning from both sides. I got the entrepreneur experience, and then I'm getting the VC experience as well.
So Launch New York works exclusively with nonprofits?
No. Launch New York itself is a nonprofit company.
All right. So I just want to make the distinction there. So if somebody's watching this, and this is where I always push the power of connection, right? You want to connect with Chad Williams right now, because he is in the organization that helps award money, so he can give you some of the inside track on what you need to do, where you need to go. He's been through some of the process himself and the competition that he's been a part of. Such a big deal. I love that. Keep going, Chad.
Thank you. Yeah, so the networking part of the competition network is huge in entrepreneurship. I met with a lady called Marnie Levine at the time. Well, her name is still Marnie Levine, but I met Marnie Levine, and she is the current CEO still of Launch New York, and she awarded me the job at Launch, and she offered me the opportunity to move back to Buffalo, where I'm able to grow Due Process. So yeah, I was awarded that. And then I also met people. I met a guy named Hugh Schwartz, and his wife was a patent attorney, and she helped me trademark the Due Process logo. So this is networking is huge. And I met another long life friend, John Osberg, from that competition, where he is like a mentor, a friend, a brother of mine to this day, where we still talk. He still gives me advice, and we help each other out. And then also I was awarded the money, where I was able to help grow Due Process. I was able to launch further collections. I was able to build my website. I was able to get an LLC. I was able to incorporate the brand. It was just like a bunch of things that were given to me from that win from the competition.
That's led to so much, right? All right, so I want to talk about this. When you hear the words determination creates success, what does that mean to you? And because you're probably in a position where you're talking to other college students, even high school students at times. What what does that mean to you? And when you're talking to those folks in particular, what is your message around determination creates success?
Determination creates a success. So that brings me to like a quote that my older brother has told me. Is the quote is never underestimate how much important the execution is than the idea. So basically, everybody has an idea, but it depends on the person to execute on that idea to make it a viable thing. So determination, you have to have determination because without that determination, it's just be another idea.
I love that. And I just want to shout out Gabrielle Hartley Esquire, who's saying chat is amazing. Says Cameron, mess or the lack of it is how I got started on my path to becoming a mediator. My parents' peaceful divorce, which later on served as a stark contrast to the messy divorces I handled as a divorce attorney, made me realize there must be a more productive and positive way to separate. And I think, so many people they get started down a road because they're like, there's something that I done right, or there's something that's going wrong, and here's a solution that I can provide around it. And that's what you've done with due process. Gabriella's working on helping people uh, take I think there's like where they talk about there's marriage, birth of children, uh, you know death, right? These are like the major pieces of life, big health crisis, and so much of our life revolves around these pieces of the puzzle. And so, I think your story involves so much of that because you have the threat of financial ruin, you got the financial, the threat while it's happening of violence, you got the threat that everything that you've worked for is on the brink, right? And then you take that and you move into this work. And I always appreciate, as we're talking to young people especially, but I don't care where you are in your life, you can go to school. It's one thing to go to school, but it's a whole nother thing to actually practice what you're doing, get involved in a business. And I love that your teachers got you involved in building this business, getting into this competition, having to do your proof of concept, your pitch, right? In this, because that's what it is. It's not studying about it in the book, right? It's actually getting into these competitions, practicing your communication skills, practicing your presentation skills, putting the work in to make sure that you can prove whatever concept, right, that you're trying to push out there. I love the work that you've done. Talk to me a little bit about just a little bit that's gone into, like, what are some of the things that have gone into that you've had to do with the due process label. You mentioned that you work with a patent lawyer. I imagine there's some securing of the IP. I imagine there's some sourcing of the actual materials and the manufacturing of it. Talk to us a little bit, just for somebody that might be interested in getting into a clothing brand. What are the steps that they need to go into to sort of get that done?
Definitely, I'm happy that you bring that up as well. So basically, with this drop, actually, this was my first drop. I did hoodies and I did t-shirts. So with this drop in specific, I draw out my logos by myself, but I'm not graphically skilled as of yet. But yes, I draw out my logos myself, and then I was still in school at the time, so I went to the graphic design area, like where all the graphic design majors are at my school, and I was just talking to a bunch of people. I was telling them about the brand, and I wanted to see who wanted to work with me. I found this wonderful young lady named Jackie, and she actually helped me get this graphically done. So I had it just drawn on a piece of paper. I still have that piece of paper with the drawing on it till this day, and she helped me get that graphically done. So I had the graphic design now. Now what was left for me to do was to source the materials and then source the person who was going to do the screen printing. So this time I'm watching a bunch of different YouTube videos on like how to build a clothing brand, how to build a clothing brand 2020, like all of those videos that they have on YouTube. I'm watching a bunch of them. For you, those of you who are trying to do something, watch YouTube. It teaches you everything. So now at this point, I'm wondering, like, do I want to make the investment and buy a screen printing machine myself and do the printing myself and maybe mess up, maybe not, or do I want to take it to a shop to get it done and whatnot? So at this point, I ordered the blank hoodies and shirts off of Max Preps. I think that was the name of the website. It was like a wholesale site. I bought the shirts and I bought the hoodies wholesale. I bought like 50 shirts and I bought 50 hoodies. So I get the shipment of the shirts and the hoodies, and I take it to a local screen printing shop in Buffalo. The screen printing shop was called Positive Approach. I take it to them and I tell them my brand. I get the quote, and then they print on the shirts. That was how I started. For my second design that I did, I actually outsourced to China. So like with this design, it was like screen printing on the back, and then it was embroidery on the front. And I outsourced this design to China, where they do all of the creation for you in one place. So like instead of me ordering the blanks one place and then taking those blanks to another place, they do everything in that one factory. And now that's how I go about making due process products. In the long run, I want to eventually bring everything back into America, but as of right now, with like costs and whatnot, I have to outsource.
Yeah, that's why so much of the apparel is built in other countries. The cost of labor, they're built and set up for it. We don't have the same access and volume that we're creating, so you don't get the scale, right? The numbers, in terms of what they're producing here in the States, sometimes just doesn't make sense for someone.
Sorry if you want to
selling 100 shirts, right? You want to go to a factory in the United States, they want you to print out 1,000, 1,000, right? In order for the economy of scale to actually kick in.
Exactly.
Whereas these factories, they're churning out stuff. They got people that are working full time just on creating the design pieces, right? They just have these great economies of scale that allow you to order stuff. And I think one of the things that I think a lot of folks in the United States are trying to get back to is creating some hubs and some places that we can get some of those economies of scale going inside the United States as well. Oh man, I so appreciated hearing your story, Chad. Just for folks that want to connect with you, want to help you out, want to support you, what's your vision for the future? Where are you going?
Got it. Yeah. And before I get into that, I just want to say, so a lot of problems that people have with like outsourcing outside of America is like human right problems. But with the next selection of due process, I'm actually working with the human rights HRSC, human rights supply chain, founded by a man named Jason Zapp, who I've come close with. So with the next design, everything will be sustainable and then also ethical. But yeah, regarding where people could,
let me just chime in here, because say that organization it's Human Rights Supply Chain.
Yeah, the Human Rights Supply Chain, HRSC.
Well, I love that you mentioned that, because I think sometimes we get caught up in, well, that's an issue, that's a problem, and so there's always I don't want to say there's always, but typically either there's always a solution or there's a solution that you can create, right? There's a workaround, there's a way to do it, there's a way to make it work, but you got to access to the opportunity. This is what the show is all about, like educating people. You said go to YouTube. We're on YouTube right now, so hopefully somebody is watching this and learning something, and then they can dive into the next thing. All right, human rights supply chain. All right, I know the thing to Google now, because a lot of times we don't know the question to ask. And so I really appreciate you bringing that up, because that's the right question to ask, right? You got a product, doesn't make sense to produce it locally. I want to go outside, but I'm afraid of, human rights violations, people not being treated correctly, not getting paid fairly. There are, especially with the way the world is globalized now, there's going to be solutions. It may be a little bit more expensive. It may be a little bit more challenging. It may be as simple as, I'm doing business with this vendor over this vendor. It could be as simple as that, right? And I think that's a big deal. And you don't know what you don't know, right? Until you actually go and do that Google search, or connect with Chad Williams, or connect with Hugh or John, right? We gotta have these people that are helping us in our network, and we got to talk to other people to figure out, hey, there's this person that can help me. I love that. All right, so talk to me about the dream. Where are we headed?
So where we headed? So like when I first started due process, I didn't have the mission of donating back 15% of proceeds to various organizations that advocate for social justice. I had a thing called the Defense Fund, but I know with the Defense Fund, it could only happen once I scaled the brand to higher revenue. So basically, what the Defense Fund is, what I now call the due process law firm, is basically the proceeds from the clothing would go towards this due process law firm, and the due process law firm would give scholarship money to law school students, and then in return it would help fight the cases of wrongfully arrested individuals. So at the time, I didn't know public defenders, as we kind of talked about earlier, public defenders, they're overworking, they're underpaid. So most of the time they want to try to lesser their workload, and that's why they offer their defendants plea deals. And most times, without people knowing, they're accepting these plea deals. So I want to take that equation off the table. I want to be able to offer those public defenders help from these law school students so that they're not just pushing plea deals on people who were wrongfully arrested. So that's one of the future goals for due process. And then we're also going to come out with the summer collection. And we also, that's about it. I know I didn't talk about that.
I love that. I'm looking forward to seeing the story play out. I'm hoping that you're going to stay in touch with BizDev Live. Hopefully in like 2-3 years, we get a follow-up on this story, and you got your partnership with Damon John, right? I got Ginger King on tomorrow, and she's rubbing elbows with Damon John all the time, right? Big fashion guy. I wish you all the success in the world. Keep telling your story. It's a powerful story, and we certainly want to see people actually get justice, right? If something happens, obviously we want folks to be held responsible, but people shouldn't be tied up and locked down simply because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? Absolutely not. There's got to be a better way to do it. We see things like the body cams, and we see more security devices, but at the end of the day, it's having a system, like you say, that has the kibosh could have been put on this easily if the public defender would have just simply got the video from the nightclub in a timely manner. And so, whether you're talking about political reform, where there's actually public financing for political candidates, so you don't have to be rich or really good at calling rich people to run, having money for candidates that actually care. I've interviewed over the last couple of years women that were going into nursing because they were seeing that women of color, the outcomes are different for them as they go in as for natal care and so many other types of care. And so they were impassioned to go in and make a difference because it just wasn't an equal system. And so the more we have, the more attention we have to this stuff, the more people like yourself that actually speak up, say something, do something about it, and know we're going to get to that place where we have a more equitable world, a more just world, and a world where if you're a college student, you can just focus on your classes and not showing up for court dates unnecessarily, right? Just amazing. Thank you for telling your story. I'll leave you with the last word, and I'll play us off with the BizDev Live theme. Tell people where they can find due process.
Thank you, Cameron. Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be on the BizDev Live show. It was a great experience. But yeah, you could find Due Process. We have a website, dueprocess.org. It's DOOprocess.org. We're on all social medias at Due Process, DOO Process. And then, I'm on LinkedIn at Chad Williams. Feel free to send me a connect invite, say you came from the Cameron Trotz Drill, and I'll be happy to connect. We could hop on a call. We could network. That's what it's all about. But yeah, thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. I'm dropping the website into the comments here, so you can go check out the website there at www.dueprocess.org. Definitely connect with Chad Williams on LinkedIn. Great show. Thank you for telling your story. Everybody, I will see you tomorrow.
BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. BizDev Live, business development, not even selling it. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. BizDev Live. Dev Live.